Our third presidential candidate represents the Constitution Party. Constitution Party sounds good to me. I often carry one of these around. This is a copy of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. I like how short this is, simple. It mostly tells power-mad politicians what they may not do. And so I like the Constitution Party's slogan, smaller, less costly government. And this year, their presidential candidate is Virgil Goode. Your platform, immediately balance the budget. Nearly every department and agency should face significant cuts, and some eliminated entirely, like
the Department of Education.
Okay. No applause for that?
National Public Broadcasting, National Endowment for the Arts, and no funding of presidential campaigns or any campaigns. I'm not taking taxpayer dollars as a matching fund. There shouldn't be that. Save $100 million from the Democrats and Republicans. Let them pay for their own conventions instead of having tax dollars put into it.
He would extricate the military from unnecessary foreign wars.
We would not be involved in a foreign war unless we wouldn't go to Iran, we wouldn't be in Afghanistan unless, following the Constitution, Congress declared war.
We shouldn't be in Afghanistan, even though they supported people who attacked us on September 11th?
Not unless Congress, we should have that debate in Congress.
Because that's what the Constitution says. All right, I get that. We're in sync on that. But then your platform goes on, use troops, fences, other measures to stop the invasion from Mexico, reduce legal immigration, have English as the official language. That's not in here.
No, but the defense of the United States is, and we have a huge invasion in our country from mostly south of the border. We need to stop all illegal immigration because we need to balance the budget now. Illegal immigration costs this country billions and billions of dollars. Legal immigration in the form of green cards, now I'm not talking about a student visa or a fiancé visa, which is a green card, but I am for a near complete moratorium on green card admissions into this country, which means you can go anywhere and get a job in about any state until unemployment is under 5%. Right now it's 8.1%. We need to have jobs in the United States first for United States citizens.
Also not in here, but I agree with this one, is term limits to members.
Well, no, now, let me tell you, John, term limits were almost in the Constitution, but when Jefferson and Madison and those that were writing back and forth on the Federalist Papers, they talked about term limits. And they decided not to adopt term limits. Why? Because they said most people will only go there and serve a few terms. Then they'll go back to their farms. They'll go back to the jobs they had. They'll go back to private life. But what we've got now in Congress, you've got so many, and I was there, part of the problem. You've got so many that are worried so much about the next election, they're not going to take the hard choices that Governor Johnson and myself and maybe Mr. Alexander would do and balance the budget now. You've got to balance the budget. We are headed for a disaster if you don't balance the budget, and that makes tough choices. You're going to make a lot in your audience mad when you balance the budget. But if we don't do that, the debt, which is at $16 trillion, is going to continue to soar. And if we had term limits, I think many members of the House and the Senate would more readily say, well, I'm not going to worry so much about the next fundraiser. I'm going to worry more about the next generation.
All right, let me go to my panel of other candidates. Do you have a question for Mr. Goode? Boy, you two on the left, you don't get enough airtime? You want to take this show, too? Mr. Alexander, go ahead.
I had one question in regards to when we're talking about the Constitution and you look at the National Defense Authorization Act, that doesn't fit in the Constitution.
Mr. Alexander, parts of the National Defense Authorization Act give, in my view, unconstitutional searches and seizures and unconstitutional...
What is this act?
The National Defense Authorization Act provides the authorization for funding troops, authorization for the Army, Navy, and it also provides authorization, and that's the part Mr. Alexander is talking about, for what I believe are unconstitutional authority to the president to exterminate someone.
Right.
Governor Johnson?
Congressman, your position on the war on drugs?
I do not support legalizing marijuana or other drugs. We differ on that. You're not going to find in here dealing with marijuana or any other types of drugs, because the founding fathers probably never
They didn't know about that.
Didn't know about it. You got that right.
Didn't Jefferson say that his best times were spent out on the veranda smoking weed? Didn't he say that? Didn't he?
I don't think so.
Governor, I'm from Virginia, and I don't remember Thomas Jefferson ever saying that.
Hemp on the veranda?
Coming up, the audience gets to grill the candidates, and so do you via Facebook. That's next.